The Forgotten Planet. In the far corner of the galaxy, there was a planet that no one visited. It was marked as lifeless, dead, and forgotten. The name of the planet was Varuna 6, and it hadn't been touched in over 40 years. But something strange happened. A small human probe flying through space picked up a signal. Soft, broken, but definitely not natural. The signal was old, but alive. It was a voice. Back on Earth, scientists were confused. This planet was supposed to be empty. Why was there a voice? Soon, a decision was made. A small ship would be sent to investigate. Not a team, just one man. His name was Lieutenant Ryan Hale, an explorer and ex-soldier who had seen many strange things in space. He didn't expect this mission to be one of them. The ship entered the dark atmosphere of Varuna 6. Everything looked cold, silent, and abandoned. Black clouds moved slowly across a purple sky. There were no animals, no people, not even plants. Ryan landed carefully near what looked like the ruins of an old city. Tall buildings had fallen apart. Some walls still stood, covered in strange alien writing. Ryan stepped out of his ship, wearing a dark suit that protected him from the planet's thin air. He looked around. The air felt heavy, as if something was watching. But he saw nothing. He walked slowly, scanning the buildings. His scanner beeped. The signal was still coming from nearby. Someone, or something, is here, he whispered to himself. Far away, hidden deep in the shadows of a broken tower, Zirai watched him. She had lived alone for 40 years. She was not human. Her skin was light blue, her eyes glowing softly. Her people had once ruled many worlds. But after the Great War between aliens and humans, everything changed. Zirai chose peace, but her own kind called her a traitor. They exiled her here, left her to die alone. And now, after 4 decades, a human had come again. She did not move. She simply watched. Ryan entered a half-broken building. It looked like a temple. He saw paintings on the walls, strange shapes, stars, and faces that were not human. One face was repeated many times. A woman, always alone, always watching. He touched one of the paintings gently. What happened here? Suddenly, the air changed. He heard something. A voice. Soft, almost like a whisper. You should not be here. Ryan turned fast. Who's there? But there was no one. He looked around, gun ready. The whisper came again. This time, clearer. Leave this place, before it's too late. Ryan stepped back, heart pounding. He wasn't sure if he was hearing things or if someone was truly speaking to him. Far above, in the broken tower, Zirai pulled back. She didn't want to scare him, but she couldn't let him get too close either. He was human. Could she really trust him? Yet, something about his voice, the way he touched the painting, it reminded her of someone she once knew. Night came quickly on Varuna 6. Ryan set up a small camp near the building. His fire burned low, and he sat watching the sky. It was quiet, too quiet. He opened his journal and began to record a message. Day 1 on Varuna 6. The ruins are real. The signal is real. But I don't know if it's natural or someone playing tricks. I feel watched, like the planet itself is alive. Just then, a gust of wind moved through the camp. Ryan stood up, alert. He turned, and for just a second, he thought he saw a figure in the shadows. Tall, graceful, not human. But when he blinked, it was gone. Far away, Zirai stood on a cliff, looking down at him. Her heart beat faster than it had in years. She didn't know what to do. Should she speak to him? Should she hide again? She whispered to herself, voice shaking. Another human. After so long. Then she turned away and disappeared into the night. The human explorer. The morning light on Varuna 6 was dull and gray. The sky never turned blue. Instead, it held a soft silver glow, like faded metal. Cold wind moved across the empty land, carrying dust and forgotten memories. Lieutenant Ryan Hale woke up with a strange feeling in his chest. His dreams had been filled with whispers, shadows, and eyes that were not human. He sat up and checked his scanner. The mysterious signal was still active, slow, pulsing, like a heartbeat. But it wasn't coming from a machine. It felt alive. Ryan grabbed his journal again and began recording. Day 2. Something is watching me. I can feel it in my skin. It's not just the wind or the silence. This place, it remembers things. I think someone is here. Maybe the one sending the signal. I have to find them. He packed his gear, checked his weapon, and walked toward the source of the signal. Far away, Zurai watched from behind a broken archway. She hadn't moved this close to another being in decades. Her heart beat faster every time she looked at him. The human moved carefully, not like the others she remembered from the war. He wasn't angry. He wasn't cruel. He was curious. Zurai could sense his thoughts, not the exact words, but the emotions behind them. He wasn't here to hurt anyone. Still, she was afraid. What if the others came next? What if he was just the beginning? She whispered to herself, "Why now? Why after all this time?" But her feet kept following him. Ryan entered what looked like an old courtyard. A fountain stood in the middle, dry and cracked, but still beautiful. Stone flowers wrapped around its edges. A large sculpture stood at the center. A tall figure with wings, holding a sphere of light. He stared at it in awe. "It's not just ruins, it's art," he said. "Whoever lived here wasn't just smart. They felt things. They loved beauty." He stepped closer and saw something carved on the base of the statue. It wasn't human language, but it looked similar to one he had studied in the military. Zerethian script, from an alien race that had vanished after the human-alien war. He touched the letters and felt a sudden pulse of warmth. The sphere in the statue's hands began to glow. Ryan stepped back, alarmed. The glow grew brighter, and then faded again, like a heartbeat. "That's not possible," he said under his breath. Watching from behind the stone wall, Zurai gasped. The light responded to his touch. That meant something. The ancient tech of her people could only be activated by emotion. It connected to the heart, not the mind. Machines like this responded to love, sorrow, longing, not force. For it to glow in his hands, even for a second, it meant his heart was open. Zurai was shaken. As Ryan moved deeper into the ruins, he noticed something odd. The further he went, the more the buildings looked untouched. Some walls were still standing. Some rooms had clean furniture, glowing panels, and active energy lines. That's when he saw it. A set of soft footprints in the dust. Fresh. His breath caught. Someone is here. He followed the prints, slowly, silently. He didn't see Zurai standing high above, watching every step. Flashback. Zurai's memory. Long ago, during the war, Zurai had been a warrior, feared and respected. But she had met a human scientist, a peaceful man who believed in sharing knowledge. They had exchanged ideas. They had smiled. She had smiled. Then her people found out. They called her a traitor, said she had been infected by human weakness. She was exiled, erased from all records, sent to die on Varuna 6. For years she survived in silence. Now this human, this Ryan, was walking through her pain, touching her past. She didn't know whether to run or speak. Ryan reached a round doorway covered in vines. He pushed through and entered a large hall. The room was quiet, but not empty. He saw paintings on the walls. Real paintings, not digital. They were full of emotion. One showed a small alien child holding the human's hand. Another showed a woman standing alone under a black sky. And in the final painting, an alien woman with glowing eyes stood in front of a human man. It was unmistakable. It was Zurai. And somehow, she had seen him before. Ryan was stunned. Is this a warning? A memory? a prophecy. Just then, he heard a soft sound. Not wind, not an animal, a breath. He turned quickly and raised his light. "Who's there?" "I'm not here to hurt anyone. I just want to understand." The shadows didn't reply, but he felt something shift. The air grew warmer. Then he saw her, just a silhouette in the corner. Tall, slim, glowing eyes. Zirai stepped forward, but only a little. Ryan kept his hands raised. "You're the one sending the signal, aren't you?" Zirai didn't speak. She simply nodded once. He took a step closer. "Why me?" Zirai's voice came, soft and broken. "Because you didn't come to take, you came to feel." That was all she said. She turned and vanished into the darkness. Ryan stood still for a long moment. He had found life. He had found her. And she was more than just an alien. She was part of something much bigger, something the galaxy had forgotten. He whispered into his recorder. "I made contact. She's real. And she's been alone. For a long, long time. First contact." The message blinked again. "She's dangerous." Ryan stared at the screen in disbelief. The words came from an encrypted frequency, military level. But not from Earth. The signal was older, buried deep inside alien code. Who had sent it? And why now? He tried tracing the signal, but it disappeared before he could scan the source. Like it didn't want to be found. Ryan closed the panel and looked out into the night. The ruins were silent again, but the message kept repeating in his mind. She's dangerous. He didn't believe it. The woman, Zirai, wasn't dangerous. She was lonely. That night, Ryan didn't sleep. He kept the fire low and watched the shadows. His mind kept replaying the moment he saw her, tall, glowing eyes, standing still like a statue. She hadn't attacked him. She hadn't run. She had spoken. "You didn't come to take. You came to feel." That line echoed in his chest. It didn't sound like something a killer would say. It sounded like a cry for connection. At dawn, Ryan made a decision. He returned to the courtyard where he had seen the paintings. He stood quietly for a while, then said aloud, "I'm not your enemy. If you're listening, I want to talk." He waited. Nothing happened. Minutes passed. He turned to leave. But then, a soft hum filled the air. The statue's sphere began to glow again, brighter than before. The doors behind the statue slowly opened. Ryan froze. A long hallway appeared. It was lit by dim blue lights that followed him as he walked in. Each step echoed off the smooth floor. The walls showed more carvings, alien symbols mixed with human shapes. It was like someone had tried to record a forgotten story. At the end of the hallway, a door slid open. Behind it stood Zirai. Zirai didn't speak at first. She stood tall, arms crossed, her face unreadable. She had watched Ryan long enough to know he wasn't like the others. But trust was not easy. Not after so many years. Ryan looked at her calmly. "Thank you for not running." Zirai tilted her head. "You are brave or foolish." "Maybe both," Ryan said with a half smile. "But I need answers. I need to know who you are. Why you're here. Why this planet was marked as empty." Zirai looked away. Her voice was soft. "Because the galaxy wanted me forgotten." She stepped to the side, revealing a wide chamber behind her. It was filled with glowing memory stones, devices her people once used to store thoughts, emotions, and images. She activated one. A 3D image floated above the stone. It showed the past. Alien cities, burning. Ships crashing. Screams. The war. Humans and aliens, fighting in chaos. Zirai's voice came gently. "My people believed in domination. When the war came, I refused to fight. I believed we could share. I trusted a human. He showed me kindness. He gave me hope." Ryan listened quietly. He felt the emotion in her voice. Pain, guilt, sorrow. I was called a traitor, she continued. They erased my name, exiled me here, and no one ever came again. Until you. Ryan took a slow breath. You didn't deserve that. No one should be left alone for 40 years. Ziray's eyes lowered. And yet I survived. Why did you reach out to me? He asked. She paused. I didn't. Not at first. But when I saw you, something awakened. This place still listens, and maybe I wanted to be found. They sat in silence for a while. The air between them was heavy, not with fear, but something deeper, recognition. Two people from two species, both broken by war, now sharing the same ruined planet. Ryan spoke again. The signal I got last night. It said you're dangerous. Someone doesn't want us talking. Ziray's expression changed. Then they know I'm still alive. Who's they? She looked at the walls. My people, the High Council, or what's left of them. If they find out you made contact, they will erase this planet completely. They fear truth more than war. Ryan stood up. Then we have to move. We can't stay here. Ziray shook her head. There's nowhere to go. This place is all I have. All I've ever had. Ryan looked at her, serious. Not anymore. You have me now. Outside, high above the clouds, something entered orbit. A dark ship, silent, sharp, deadly. It bore no flags, no symbols, but it carried weapons that could melt cities. Inside, a voice spoke. Contact has been made. The exiled is alive. The human must not leave the planet. Orders were clear. Eliminate both. Back on the surface, Ryan and Ziray moved through the old tunnels beneath the ruins. Ziray showed him the hidden chambers, safe zones, old food storage, healing stations. Ryan was amazed. This tech is far beyond what Earth has. Why hide it? Ziray answered with sadness. Because the galaxy is not ready for peace. Power fears balance. They stopped in front of a large metal door. Ziray hesitated. This room was never opened after the war. It holds the last message from the one I loved. Ryan looked at her gently. You can open it now. She pressed her hand to the door. It unlocked with a soft hum. Inside was a small room with one glowing crystal. As she touched it, a voice echoed through the air. A human voice. Ziray, if you ever hear this, know that you were right. We could have built something beautiful. I'm sorry I didn't fight harder for you. Tears ran down her cheeks. Ryan stood beside her, silent, respectful. The past wasn't dead. It had just been buried. The enemy returns. The sound of the alarm echoed through the ancient ruins like a scream from the planet itself. Ziray stood frozen, her eyes wide. Her skin, usually calm and glowing, now shimmered with tension. Ryan checked his scanner again. A ship had entered the planet's orbit, large, fast, and armed. The reading showed something terrifying. It's cloaked, he whispered, not a normal scout. This is military. Ziray nodded slowly. They came for me. Ryan looked at her. Why? After all this time. She stepped back, her voice low. Because I'm not just an exile. I'm a secret. And if the galaxy hears my story, their lies fall apart. Far above the planet, the black ship sliced silently through the clouds. Inside, alien soldiers sat in rows. Cold eyes, armor polished like stone, no emotion on their faces. A voice echoed from the command deck. You are to locate the human, eliminate the exile. Leave no record. If they escape, history will change. No one replied. These were silencers, the cruelest enforcers of the old council. They never failed. And they were already landing. Back on the surface, Ziray moved quickly through the ruins, her feet barely touching the ground. She hadn't moved like this in decades, but instinct took over. Ryan followed closely, trying to stay calm, but questions spun in his mind. Who were these soldiers? Why did they fear Ziray so much? They entered an old chamber filled with strange curved machines. "What is this place?" he asked, out of breath. Zirai placed her hand on a panel. The room lit up in soft blue light. "This," she said, "was once the command center of Varuna 6. Before exile, I was its guardian. This planet wasn't just my prison. It was a vault for forbidden knowledge." Ryan looked around in awe. The machines looked alive, responding to her touch, adjusting, breathing. She activated a large screen. A map of the galaxy appeared, filled with red and green stars. "This was our network," she said softly. "We monitored peace, or tried to. When I began talking to humans, the High Council ordered the shutdown. They destroyed every outpost." She zoomed in on a blinking point, Earth. "But I saved one link, one message line to your world. That's what they want to erase." Ryan understood. "This isn't about you being alive. It's about your voice." Zirai nodded. If people know a human and an alien could be connected, it would end their control. Suddenly, a loud sound shook the ground. A ship had landed nearby. Red lights blinked on the scanner. "They're close," Ryan whispered. Zirai walked to a tall chamber and opened a panel in the floor. Inside was a set of armor, old but strong, and a blade made of light metal. "I hoped I would never wear this again," she said, putting it on piece by piece. "But if they came for war, they'll get it." Ryan raised his blaster. "Then let's show them they made a mistake." Outside, the silencers spread across the ruins. They moved in silence, scanning everything. One of them found Ryan's old campfire, still warm. "He's near." Another pointed to footprints, 2 sets. "They're moving together." The leader's voice came cold. "Capture the human. Kill the exile. Quickly." Back in the ruins, Zirai led Ryan into the tunnels beneath the city. "These were escape routes," she explained, "built in case of invasion. But they're unstable. If we use them, we may not come back." Ryan looked at her seriously. "If we stay here, we die anyway." Zirai hesitated. "You're not afraid?" He smiled faintly. "Of course I'm afraid, but I didn't come this far to turn back." For a moment, Zirai felt something strange. Not fear, not sadness. Hope. The two moved through the tunnels, the sounds of boots above growing louder. The silencers had entered the ruins. They were searching every corner. In one hallway, Ryan stopped. His scanner picked up movement, 3 soldiers coming fast. "We've got company," he said. Zirai nodded and stepped forward. "Let me show you what I once was." She stood in the center of the hall as the silencers appeared. They raised their weapons. Zirai didn't blink. In a flash, she moved, fast like lightning. Her blade sliced through the air, cutting through armor like paper. One soldier fell. Another turned to run. Too late. Ryan fired at the third, catching him in the leg. Within seconds, it was over. Zirai stood tall, her armor glowing. Ryan stared. "You were a warrior?" She breathed slowly. "I was a leader." They moved deeper into the tunnel. Ryan checked the scanner again. "More are coming. A lot more." Zirai turned to a control panel. "I can collapse this tunnel behind us. It'll slow them down." "Will we be trapped?" "Maybe, but I know another way." She activated the system. The tunnel began to shake. Behind them, stone crashed down, sealing the way. They reached a chamber filled with strange pods. Zirai pointed. These were escape vessels. Ancient, but maybe one still works. Ryan checked them. "One pod is active. We can use it." "But only one," Zirai said softly. They looked at each other. Ryan didn't speak. Zirai stepped back. "You should go. If you reach space, send my story. Let them know the truth." Ryan shook his head. "No, we do this together. We leave together, or we fight together." She smiled slightly. "You're more stubborn than I expected." He grinned. "I've been told that." Suddenly, The ceiling above exploded. The silencer ship had blasted through the ruins. Soldiers dropped in, weapons ready. Zirai and Ryan raised their arms. This was the final stand. Zirai whispered, "If we die with the truth." Ryan said, "Then let's make it count." Secrets of the heart. The pod lights glowed brighter, flooding the ancient chamber with a soft golden hue. A voice played again, calm, steady, full of emotion. Override accepted. Emergency launch protocol activated. Zirai's heart stopped for a moment. The voice, it wasn't just a recording. It was his voice. The human scientist she once trusted. The one who had changed everything. The man she had once loved. His voice had been saved by the pod's memory system, hidden for decades. And now, after 40 years of silence, it had awakened. Ryan turned to Zirai. Her face was pale, her lips trembling. "Who is it?" he asked gently. She looked at the pod with glassy eyes. His name was Dr. Elias Grant. He was a human diplomat, sent during the first peace missions. He didn't believe in war. He believed in connection, with words, with hearts. Ryan watched her closely. Was he the one who convinced you to trust humans? Zirai nodded slowly. He didn't try to convince. He listened. He made me feel, not alien. Her fingers touched the pod gently. I thought his voice was gone forever. The moment was broken by a violent blast above. Dust rained down from the ceiling. The silencer troops were breaking through again. Zirai turned to Ryan. "We don't have time. If the pod works, you must go." Ryan stepped forward. "No, we go together." Zirai looked away. "It's programmed for one." "Then reprogram it." "I can't. The system is locked." The pod speaker activated again. Elias's voice came softly this time. "If you're hearing this, it means you've survived, Zirai. That means you never gave up hope. This pod holds your last chance to share our dream. I hope someone worthy is with you." Ryan stepped back, stunned. "He recorded this for you." Zirai nodded. "He believed our story would change everything." Ryan looked at her, really looked at her, and made a decision. He grabbed his backpack and began pulling out tools. "What are you doing?" Zirai asked. "Upgrading it. You've got alien tech. I've got human stubbornness. Let's make this a two-seater." Above ground, the silencers had reached the surface chamber. Their scanners showed the tunnel collapse, but one heat signal remained below. "Target confirmed," the leader said coldly. "Prepare final strike." A weapon charged. A sound like thunder echoed through the ruins. Back in the chamber, Ryan worked fast. His hands moved over circuits, matching old tech with new wires. Zirai stood by, shielding him as energy trembled through the floor. He looked up once. "Why didn't you leave before? You had all this tech." Zirai hesitated. "Because I thought I didn't deserve to leave." Ryan stopped working. "Because of love." She nodded slowly. "Because of shame." Ryan placed a hand on hers. "You don't need to be ashamed of feeling love. That's the most human thing about you." She looked at him. "But I'm not human." He smiled. "Neither are most good things." The pod blinked twice. The control panel flashed green. Zirai's eyes widened. "You did it. I rerouted the energy core. It's not pretty, but it should carry both of us." Zirai stepped in. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan climbed in beside her. "I came to this planet alone. I'm not leaving the same way." The pod doors closed just as the ceiling above cracked open. Soldiers dropped down, their weapons aimed. Too late. The pod launched with a roar, shooting through the ground like a bullet of light. It tore through layers of rock, ancient metal, and dust, and broke into the open sky. High above the clouds, the silencer warship locked onto the pod. A targeting beam turned red. The commander ordered, "Fire." Zirai looked at Ryan. "We won't make it. Not at this range." Ryan replied, Yes, we will. He reached for a small trigger in his vest. It connected to the explosives they'd planted earlier, back in the ruins. He smiled. Let's remind them what forgotten planets are capable of. He pressed the button. Below them, the entire tunnel system exploded, massive blasts tearing through the ruins. The shockwave hit the warship above, throwing off its aim. The weapon fired and missed. The pod escaped the planet's orbit and entered deep space. Zirai sat quietly beside Ryan, her eyes fixed on the stars. He leaned back, breathing hard. We're safe, for now. Zirai nodded. But it's not over. No, he agreed. But we have your story. We have his voice. That's more powerful than any army. She looked at him and whispered, You sound like him. Ryan smiled. Maybe he left a little bit of himself behind. In you. And now, in me. Inside the pod's core, a small memory crystal glowed brighter. It contained the full message Elias had left. Video, audio, records of meetings, hopes, and plans that had been silenced for decades. It was proof that peace had been possible once, and could be again. After a long silence, Zirai finally spoke. I thought I would die alone on that planet. I buried my past, my heart, everything. But you came. Ryan didn't say anything. He just reached over and gently took her hand. The last stand. The message flashed again on the pod's tiny screen. We've been waiting for you. Zirai stared at the words, her glowing eyes wide with disbelief. Do you recognize this frequency? Ryan asked, leaning over. She shook her head slowly. No, it's not from the silencers. And not from Earth. But the signal feels familiar, like something old. Ryan tapped a few commands. The ship is closing in. They're not broadcasting weapons or threats. Then what do they want? Zirai whispered. He looked at her. Maybe the same thing we want. The truth. A few minutes later, a long shadow passed over their small escape pod. A much larger ship came into view, sleek, silver, almost like it was made of light and glass. No weapons were visible. No soldiers. Just silence. Then the pod slowed on its own. Zirai looked at the controls. I'm not doing this. The pod gently docked with the mysterious ship. Ryan took a deep breath and reached for his blaster. Zirai stopped him with a touch. No weapons. Not yet. Let's see who they are first. The pod doors opened with a quiet hiss. Soft white light filled the chamber. They stepped into a circular room, glowing with blue-white energy. The walls were lined with memory crystals, just like the ones Zirai had used in the ruins. But these were clean, updated, well cared for. At the center of the room stood 3 figures. 2 were alien. 1 was human. Zirai froze. It can't be. Ryan looked back at her. Do you know them? Zirai slowly stepped forward, her voice soft. They were part of the peace movement, before the war. I thought they were all killed. The human figure stepped forward. He was older, hair silver, face calm. My name is Dr. Kenzo Lai. We never died. We just disappeared. Kenzo explained everything. After the High Council declared war, a small group of aliens and humans who supported unity were hunted. Many were killed, but a few escaped, together. They built this ship, called the Sanctuary, in deep space where no one could find them. For years, they watched, waited, and gathered forbidden data. They had been monitoring Varuna 6 for a long time, but the signal never returned. Until Ryan landed. We never stopped believing in Zirai, Kenzo said, looking at her kindly. We knew she carried the truth. The council feared her because she remembered the dream. Zirai's voice cracked. I thought I was alone. All this time. You were never alone, Kenzo replied. We just couldn't reach you. Ryan looked around. Then help us. The silencers are still out there. If they track this ship. They won't, one of the alien companions said. Our ship is cloaking far beyond their sensors. But we can't stay hidden forever. Kenzo nodded. We want the same thing you want, Ryan, to tell the truth, to show the galaxy what really happened. Zurai stepped forward. Then why haven't you? The room went quiet. Kenzo looked down. Because we were afraid. We lost so much. We were tired of running. But you, both of you, showed us that fear can't stop the truth anymore. Later, in a private room, Zurai sat alone, holding the memory crystal with Elias's voice. She closed her eyes and played the message again. His voice was soft, warm. If you're hearing this, I hope it means you're free. And if someone's with you, I hope they see you the way I did, as the light the galaxy needed. Tears fell down her cheeks. She whispered, I miss you, Elias. But maybe your dream is alive after all. Meanwhile, Ryan walked with Kenzo through the ship's observation deck. Stars passed by like slow-moving fireflies. Ryan asked, Why me? Why now? Kenzo smiled. Because some stories need a witness, and you weren't just curious. You felt it. You listened. Ryan thought of Zurai. Her voice, her eyes, her silence. She changed me, he said quietly. Kenzo nodded. Then maybe now it's your turn to change the galaxy. That night, the group met in the central hall. Kenzo stood in front of a round table with a glowing projection of the galaxy spinning above it. He pointed to Earth, then to the ruins of Varuna 6. We're going to broadcast the full truth. Elias's message. Zurai's memories. Your logs, Ryan. Everything. To every known system. Ryan's eyes widened. They'll come after you. They already are, Kenzo said calmly. But this time, we won't hide. Back on Varuna 6, the Silencer commander stood inside the destroyed ruins. Soldiers scanned the area. Nothing remains, one of them reported. No body. No tech. The commander clenched his fists. They escaped. A dark screen flickered to life. An alien face appeared, the new High Chancellor of the Council. Find them, the Chancellor said, before they speak, before the truth spreads. If you fail. The screen went black. 3 days later, across 1,000 worlds, every holoscreen, every station, and every civilian ship received the same unexpected message. A soft voice, human and alien, speaking together. It was Elias's final message. It was Zurai's story. It was Ryan's journey. This is not a call for war. This is a call for truth. The future does not belong to one species, one council, or one voice. It belongs to all of us, together. The message spread like wildfire. On Earth, crowds gathered to listen. On alien worlds, people cried. And in secret rooms, the High Council panicked. The truth could not be stopped now. Back on the sanctuary, Ryan sat beside Zurai on the viewing deck. Stars stretched forever before them. You're not alone anymore, he said gently. Zurai nodded. And neither are you. He smiled. What happens now? She looked ahead. We rebuild. We teach. We show them what it means to be more than enemies. Zurai placed the memory crystal in the center of a glowing chamber. It uploaded into the ship's main core, joining all the other truths that had once been silenced. The crystal pulsed once, and then glowed brighter than any other. As it did, Zurai whispered, Elias, we did it. You were right. And beside her, Ryan simply whispered, we all were. A new dawn. The message had been sent. Across thousands of star systems, millions of beings, human and alien, stopped what they were doing to listen. Zurai's voice, once buried in silence, now echoed through the stars. Elias's final message played in loops across communication towers, military screens, learning halls, and homes. It was not a message of hate. It was a message of healing. The truth is not dangerous. The truth is freedom. It is time to remember what was lost, and to believe, again, in what we could become. On Earth, In a small school in Brazil, children watched the hologram of Zirai's face. One little girl with brown curls whispered, "She's not scary. She's sad and kind." On a mining colony in the Orient Belt, a group of alien workers stopped and listened. Many wiped their eyes quietly. One of them muttered, "She was right all along." And they buried her voice. And in a command center deep within the High Council's headquarters, red lights blinked on every screen. Reports flooded in. Entire sectors were demanding an investigation. The truth had spread like wildfire. And it wasn't stopping. On the sanctuary, Zirai stood in the heart of the memory chamber. The glowing crystals that lined the walls now pulsed with a new rhythm, like a heartbeat returning after decades of stillness. Ryan walked in slowly, holding 2 mugs of synth tea. "You didn't sleep," he said. Zirai smiled softly. "I haven't felt this awake in 40 years. She touched one of the memory crystals. It showed her and Elias, laughing in the ruins of an old archive, long before the war. The recording shimmered like a dream made of light. "I was afraid that if I shared my story," she said, "no one would care. No one would believe me." "They believed you," Ryan said. "They felt what I felt." She turned to him, eyes glowing brighter than ever. "Do you know what I felt the day you landed?" she asked. "I felt my heart beat again. Not from fear. From hope." Suddenly, the ship's main alarm flashed once. Soft, not urgent. Kenzo's voice came through the intercom. "Zirai, Ryan, please come to the bridge. We have a visitor." They exchanged glances, then hurried to the control deck. Outside, floating just beyond visual range, was a strange ship, not from the Council, not from Earth. It was old, very old, but beautifully crafted, like a relic of a forgotten time. Zirai's breath caught. "That design, it's from the Unity Age, thousands of years ago." Kenzo nodded. "They're broadcasting peace tones. They've been searching for you." A message played through the speakers. "To the exile of Varuma 6, your truth woke us. We are the keepers of balance, the silent witnesses. We remember the unity. We remember your name." Zirai stepped forward. "Then come. Let us build again, together." That day, the Unity Accord was born. A new coalition of humans, aliens, refugees, historians, and thinkers came together, not with weapons, but with ideas, memory, and belief. They didn't try to erase the past. They tried to understand it. 3 months later, Ryan stood on a grand stage inside the new Unity Embassy, orbiting a neutral moon. People of every kind gathered, blue-skinned, green-scaled, pale and pink, short and tall. He adjusted the mic and looked out at the crowd. "My name is Ryan Hale. I'm not a politician. I'm not a hero. I'm an explorer who got lost and found something worth more than any treasure." He glanced toward Zirai, sitting among diplomats and children alike. "I found a voice the galaxy tried to forget, but voices like hers don't die. They wait, and when they rise again, they change everything." Zirai spoke next. The entire galaxy held its breath. She stood quietly at the center of the glowing podium. "I do not ask for revenge. I ask for remembrance. I do not offer war. I offer memory." Then she held up the crystal containing Elias's message. This was the heart of one human, and it saved the soul of one alien. Imagine what we could do if we all shared our hearts. The room erupted in gentle applause. Not loud, but deep. A sound of hope, but not everyone celebrated. In the dark corners of space, the old council began to crumble. Some members resigned in shame. Others doubled down, building hidden ships, preparing for war. And far away, deep in the core of a dying star, a secret facility hummed with life. Inside, strange beings watched the spread of the Unity message. One of them turned to its leader. "We failed. The exile's truth is stronger than we thought." The leader's eyes flickered like fire. "No, we didn't fail. We tested her. He raised a long, armored hand toward a dark screen showing Zerai and Ryan standing side by side. She passed. And now we reveal what comes next. Back on the sanctuary, Ryan and Zerai walked the garden deck, a place full of alien flowers that glowed softly in the dark. "You think it's over?" Ryan asked. Zerai looked up at the stars. "No, it's only beginning. But this time, I'm not alone." They stopped under a tree with purple petals. Zerai looked at him. "Do you ever wonder why Elias trusted me?" Ryan nodded. "Yeah, but I think I finally understand." She raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because even when the galaxy forgot you, you remembered it. You didn't give up. And when I met you, I remembered what it meant to be human." As they stood in silence, a new transmission arrived. It wasn't hostile. It wasn't from the past. It simply said, "Your truth is now our truth. Teach us." Zerai closed her eyes, a smile spreading across her face. After 40 years of silence, her voice had finally changed the universe. In the control room of the sanctuary, a child, half human, half alien, sat watching the stars. He asked Kenzo, "Do you think we'll ever find others like her?" Kenzo smiled. "We already have. We just have to listen." The camera zooms out, pulling away from the ship, past the glowing moon, past the spiraling galaxy, into the infinite darkness filled with millions of voices waiting to be heard. And one voice echoes softly, "I was never alone. I was only waiting for the right human."